Welcome to season 4, episode 2 of the Seller Community Podcast from List Perfectly and Listing Patty. This week, we're very excited to feature Margaret, Texas Gal Treasures, very well known in the seller community for her jewelry. We talk about her vintage selling. We talk about her YouTube channel and much more. And we cover some really interesting stuff about UFOs. Good job, Doug. We're also got some seller shoutouts this week, a seller tip from Trish, that's me, and the news. Today, we'd like to welcome Margaret, Texas Gal Treasures, to the show. She sells vintage items on her eBay store, including jewelry, purses, toys, cufflinks, tie tacks, and ties. I think that's about it. She also has a YouTube channel where she dives deep into tips on reselling, print on demand, and much more. You can find Texas Gal Treasures on Etsy, Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, and I believe some other places. But thank you for joining us. It's lovely to meet you.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great.
Thanks for coming on. And yeah, we've been excited to get you on and learn more about what you do. And we noticed that you have quite a following on YouTube, 150,000 subscribers. Can you tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel, what we can expect to see on there?
Ooh. I do a lot of videos. I do a lot of tutorial type videos, but then I have jewelry unboxings, and sometimes I do live hangouts, print on demand tutorials, just about everything. I'm really focused on trying to make it entertaining, but also informative and build community building. So
yeah. So awesome. What inspired you to start to start Texas Gal Treasures? What was the catalyst?
All right. I wrote a little flowchart here.
Yeah.
Well, I used to teach public school. I taught public school for 15 years at elementary school. And when I quit teaching public school, when my eldest was going into kindergarten, I quickly realized I'm not a stay-at-home, bake the cookies kind of mom. And I was really, and this is also something that's my passion for people. It turned out that I was becoming more aware of the relationship I was in was not very healthy. And so I needed to figure out how I can make my own money. And then eventually it led to, I needed to be able to support myself and the kids so that we could leave this sticky situation. And so starting Texas Gal Treasures, the reselling part of it was just to start making money. And then I would get really excited about stuff and want to talk about it. So I started the channel. And then it just kind of snowballed. And then that ability to be able to become independent was so important. And it's so important for so many people that I wanted to share that in different ways to make money. I mean, not everybody's in a bad situation, but it's very important to be able to support yourself. So it was really important to me to share that.
Okay. And are there any unique challenges you've faced over the years running your business? And how did you maybe overcome some of those?
Yeah. Well, I like to make sure I'm diversified. So I don't want to have everything all in eBay, all in Etsy, all in YouTube, which I just actually had a big YouTube thing happen this year, which was a wake-up call. And so the challenge is juggling as many different things as I do with the print on demand and the reselling and YouTube and affiliates. I'm just all kinds of stuff, my own website, and I'm a one-woman show. So and I homeschool my kids now. And it's a lot. So just, taking the time to juggle, that's the challenge basically, is figuring out all the pieces and where to devote your attention.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have no idea what the YouTube thing that you made reference to. I don't know what that was. So if you want to expand on that, feel free. But I also would like to know, social media then playing into that. How much does that affect your business? Do you try to leverage platforms Instagram and Pinterest, or do you mostly do YouTube? I know you have a Facebook group that's very big and popular. So how often, what's the social media aspect?
So tell me the YouTube part. I was I'm ADHD.
Yeah. So I just said, if you wanted to touch on it, you're more than welcome. Yeah.
Well, what happened was, YouTube, a lot of the creators on YouTube, there was a big glitch with the AdSense, Google AdSense. And so a lot of creators there ad revenue dropped 90%. So,
Oh,
right, huge. And they were just kind of like not sharing what was going on or how to fix it, you know? And it was big because I had all my stores on vacation mode because we were moving. So I was really relying a little more heavily on the ad revenue, even though it wasn't, you know, everything. And so it really opened my eyes to, okay, you've been putting too many of your eggs in that basket. You need to
yeah.
start spreading the wealth
Yep.
again. As far as social media, this is an area that I want to get better at because it is, you know, just me and my kids. So, and I'm one woman. So most of the time my social media ends up being just for fun.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I'm sharing fun things I see on YouTube, on, you know,
Yeah.
Instagram, or things to make you smile, something uplifting. Uh, Before I used to do a little more with Pinterest and creating Pinterest boards, but it just, and I did a lot more of that with my print on demand stuff, honestly, because then I could get more of those things out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was another part of the question that I'm missing.
No, I guess I just was wondering, I too find social media difficult. I also think it's a little bit of an age thing. We didn't grow up with it. So now we're trying to figure out, you know, my daughter will immediately start taking photos and posting it while things are happening. I never do
Yeah.
that. Like I never
Yeah.
think of, oh, we're at this good restaurant. I may think of it tomorrow, like, oh, look what we did
I
yesterday.
should. Yeah.
Yeah, but still do it while you're there. So I do think it's
Mhm.
some of it's a learning curve for us, I think.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right. I do think about that. Like when my sister, she's a beekeeper, or she does bees, and she has bees, and she got stung on the hand and had to go to the fire station and get her ring cut off. And I was like, please tell me you recorded that. It's like YouTube gold. It's like,
Exactly.
no,
You're like,
Margaret, I
I
wasn't
love
thinking
you.
about that.
Are you okay, Margaret? I mean, I love you, sister. Your Margaret loves you, but please record that so I can see it.
Please record that. She's learned though. She started recording more. Like, come on, Elaine.
And
Yeah.
then so your one woman show, you've said you've got all this stuff on your plate, you know, selling, YouTube, family, moving, some other stuff we'll get into later, but how do you balance it all, and what advice do you have for somebody that's in a similar situation, has to balance all these different things?
Oh yeah. So one
Oh,
one
yeah.
is to have grace with yourself, you know, whether, I mean, I'm not particularly religious, but I definitely want to make sure that I give myself care, and like if I make mistakes, give myself time, and know the big thing is that I know that this is a choice. And so when I do start feeling overwhelmed and I do start feeling stressed out, I remind myself, I don't have to homeschool my kids. They could be in public school. I don't have to work myself. I could go back into the classroom and be a teacher. I could put my kids in school. I could resell. I have more time for that. But because it's something that I choose and it's the life that we want, then that's just something that I have to say, you know what? Would I have it any other way? Not really. So I wrote a little note. Yeah. So I basically covered that. I just remind myself that this is, and maybe maybe I could be selling more, because I know some people get into that, like hustle harder.
Mhm.
And, you know, some people it's really easy to get sucked into like, I'm not doing enough, you know,
Yeah.
and then no, I mean, I know I could be doing more. And when my kids are out of the house, which won't be that much longer, then I could do more, because my eldest is turning 16 and my youngest is 13. So really it's like 5 years that they're going to be both adults. It's not very long.
No,
Yeah.
It's really quick.
it is.
Yeah.
And so do you think that reselling and homeschooling are like a natural thing? Do you think those things balance well together? Or do you think it's, I don't know, it
I
sounds
do.
from the outside that it could really work.
Oh yeah. And that the thing that I remind people that are homeschooling and that are interested in, and actually a friend of mine I just had a video chat with him because he and his wife are homeschooling and they're struggling. And I said, you know, you're trying to replicate school at home, and that's not what we're doing. You know, you have the opportunity to teach your child the things that are important to you, you know, and some of the things that the schools are teaching. Yeah, there's the the 3 R's and all that stuff. But ultimately, what do you want your child to grow up learning? And most people wouldn't say, I want to make sure they know all the states and capitals by the time they're 18. You know, it's no, I want them to have drive, and I want them to be resilient, and I want them to be go-getters. And, you know, if there's something in the world that they are wanting to experience or create and it's not there, to know, hey, I can create this. You know, somebody made this, and somebody made this, and somebody made that, and I get to make this if I want. So having that's what I want to impart to my kids. And so a lot of the stuff that we do, we have our curriculum stuff that we do, but they get through that part pretty quick. And then they're working on projects. My eldest is really super into stock market stuff. So like dig in, you know. And then what was the other thing? So both of my kids they have the ability to create projects. And so for me, I just say, okay, well, you need to give me some kind of plan proposal. Like, so I'm able, should I ever get audited by school, whatever. And they're like, well, how is this? Your kid's creating a game on Roblox. Okay, well, here's their proposal, and here's what they were going to do. And here's you know, so there's all the steps of what they're doing. You know, and then like we joined Toastmasters. So just all of these like really cool entrepreneurship opportunities that they wouldn't necessarily get to explore in public school.
And so you made reference to it a little while ago. You have a homeschooling channel. So are these some of the things you discuss on that?
These are some of the things that, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't know anything about it. So
these are the things I would love to discuss on it.
Okay.
Some of the stuff there gets taken a backseat, and I just started partnering with a company. I'm actually onboarding later today to help me with my time management better. Okay. So I can go in and say, these are the things I want to do. This is the time that I have. Help me. Help me figure out how I can do all of these things because I find myself, again, I mentioned I ADHD. So I'll be up till 1 a.m, like thinking, oh, I need to come up with 10 video ideas and scripts. Let me do that now. Or you know what? I'll spend 4 hours working on print on demand and then realize, wow, I was just spinning my wheels looking at it. Yeah. So somebody to kind of help focus my attention on where it's really going to be best used. And yeah, because that's definitely something that I feel strongly about as far as the homeschooling aspect, because that's not a lot of the Texas Gal stuff doesn't get a lot of that attention, but it's something that I'm very passionate, especially coming from the classroom.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you mentioned Roblox, and it's like, yeah, that teaches good basic planning and programming skills, and then you know, you can go from there. It's concepts we didn't have or stuff we didn't have available when we were kids.
Yeah. And my kid was like, well, the components that I want for this game are not in there. I'm like, and the problem is, so you create them. I don't know how to do that. Oh, if only somebody in this world could possibly figure that out. You know, somebody's done it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just want them to have that, like, oh, okay, it's not, I want this, it's not there. Clearly somebody's done this before. There's got to be the information. So just that they have that kind of mindset, you know?
Yeah. And you just mentioned, you just talked about developing videos, developing scripts. How do you come up with the ideas for your YouTube channel?
Sometimes it's through comments that I get. Sometimes there will be changes in the platforms or things that are selling that are new or things I'm learning about. Say I got this big comic book haul with, you know, Mad magazines and national magazines and stuff like that. And it was just a whole genre or niche that I wasn't familiar with. So anytime I'm learning something new, I always, you know, say, hey, look at this cool thing that I'm learning and I'm finding out about it. So sharing just things like that as I go. How else? Sometimes it's a dream. Sometimes my kids will say, you know, it would be cool. And then they'll give me an idea. I'm like, that is cool. Or I'll see another video in a completely different niche. And I'm like, oh, this would be a really good idea, but I can make, you know, twist that into this.
Interesting.
Like
yeah. Or if your sister needs to get her ring cut off.
My sister.
So
like, this is a great idea.
you have a Facebook page, Texas Gals Jewelry Lovers. If I could
Yeah.
speak, it would be good. And I run a mastermind class, and I just want you to know from somebody on the outside, this gets referenced weekly in my mastermind when people bring up jewelry and that they can't figure something out and where can they go. This page gets mentioned weekly there as somebody saying, oh, go join this, they'll help you, blah, blah, blah. So you really are looked at as an expert in this field in the jewelry, in the reselling jewelry business. So I'm wondering, how do you feel about that? If if you feel, okay, that face, maybe not, you don't feel like an expert, but I think you're looked at as one. And how is that Facebook group going?
I think it's going really well.
Yeah. No,
I don't think of myself as an expert.
okay.
I definitely, but I'm not afraid to say when I don't know something and let's figure it out, and to defer to people that I do know. This is one of the really important things of that group from the get-go. We wanted to cultivate a place where you could walk in and not know anything and ask a question, because honestly, there were some groups and we had some early on, we had to do some major cultivating of the garden and pulling the weeds, because we wanted it to be a safe place that people could come and ask questions, and nobody's going to belittle them or make them feel bad if they don't know something that not everybody knows, So just from the highest end collector to the newest newbie, can walk in and say, hey, I've got a question about this. What do you, and a lot of times I don't answer a lot of the questions. I'm there, but I'm not there a lot. But the group has grown so much, and the culture in the group has cultivated. And I think because, myself and the admins in the group, who are phenomenal, have just really kept on top of that and creating that culture of, safety to learn.
Well, and I also think, there is a segment of the population, and this, resellers are brand new all the time. There is a certain amount of turnover. You get into this, you realize, it is really real work. I don't want to do it anymore. And they get out. And so there's always new people getting in. And so for me, finding some place where newbies feel comfortable is the sign of a really good group, because it's difficult. A lot of these groups get very angry at newbies. I don't want to talk about shipping. I've talked about shipping 45,000 times. I don't want to answer that question anymore. So the fact that you've been able to cultivate that says a lot about you and a lot about your members. I mean, it really is. It's a hard thing to do.
Thanks. It's important. It is. Because even I feel strongly about this, and I don't generally get into other, how do you put it? Other, I don't want to say gurus, but other people that are seen as leaders in the community. I personally am if you feel like you know it all, that's a bad sign, because there's always so much to learn, and nobody knows everything. And you've got to constantly know everything's changing all the time. Even if because I love selling mugs, that's another one, they're so fun. But what sold 2 years ago doesn't, so I can continue say I'm the mug guru, but if I'm not,
we've all seen those people, and then they don't even really sell anymore, but they say they're, experts in the field. And the problem is you're right. It changes constantly. And and the pandemic has made a huge change in the business, I think. And so it is, it's, you've got to be able to be self-aware enough to know that you don't know everything.
Yeah. And that you might have known it last year, but you don't know it anymore.
Doesn't mean it's true now. Exactly.
Yeah. So I am not, that's why I'm I don't want to be seen like that. I'm just
right.
I don't know what I don't know.
And so we know you are a List Perfectly user. Do you have any tips for our listeners on using List Perfectly?
Well, first of all, use it. Second of all, it has saved my vacants. This whole move, because I shut down all my stores, and I thought this is the perfect opportunity for me to do inventory, because, and I did a video about this. I was biting off way more than I could chew before I moved, because I started doing local sales to online. I mean, and I had moved all my inventory to a storage locker. And I ended up getting below standard on eBay because of I was taking pictures here, moving it here, and there was too many moving pieces. And so I was losing items left, right, and center. So this gave me the opportunity, this move, to shut everything down. And I'm going through piece by piece by thousands of pieces.
Wow.
But I'm finding listings that can't find the item. I'm finding things that I have that aren't listed, that are with the listed stuff. And because you have, thousands upon thousands of items, so it's really giving me the opportunity to go through everything on all my platforms and make sure that everything is synced up. And then I would like find things that the description is one thing and the photos were wrong. I'm like, what is this? Like, that
How
happened.
do I do this? Exactly.
I'm like, because you just get in that mode. You're like listing, and you just don't realize, like, oops, I uploaded the wrong photos. So I think going forward, that'd be something that I would like to take in chunks. Like, okay, I'm going to do inventory of my jewelry stuff, like once a month, like pick a niche of like, okay, I'm going to do because I have a lot of comics and magazines and things like that. Like, do all of that. Okay, now I'm going to do all the hats, and just to do a quick inventory and double check everything, cross-checking it, and having List Perfectly was really helpful for that. Or I'd find it was listed on Etsy somehow, but it wasn't on eBay. And like, or maybe I jumped into Etsy and listed it real quick and forgot to put it over in, well,
Yeah.
and so I could shoot it to List Perfectly. And then, okay, now I've got it in the system.
It is good
So
to have
it really helped.
Yeah, it is. It's helpful.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about this a minute ago, but like, how has the reselling business changed since you've started? And do you see anything coming on the horizon that you think?
Ooh. Well, I want to say I know a lot of people say there's more resellers now, which may be true, but I think it's just more visible.
I agree.
I think there were always resellers. It's just there's more ways to share, a lot more on YouTube, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely more opportunities. I mean, I don't see it as a bad thing, because when I first started, I actually started on Etsy, and just having lots more opportunities to, I don't know, I just think the opportunities are so amazing out there, and the information, I don't see it as a bad thing that there's so many resellers on YouTube, because you're getting more and more information, which is great. How is it changing? Ooh, that's a really good question. Or what do I see on the horizon?
Either one. I mean, I personally think that the pandemic changed the way people do things. I think that I used to be somebody, and I don't know about you, I used to be somebody who would buy, get it all listed, and then go buy again. I don't do that anymore. I have backstock all of the time. I refuse to call it a death pile because if anything happens, I want to be able to continue. I don't like that idea of having to scramble to find
Right.
to be able to keep the momentum. I mean, I don't know, just brought certain things to light, I think.
I was never really great at always having everything listed.
Okay.
I'm gonna put that right out there. I did downsize a lot before I moved. I kind of went through stuff and thought, okay, if it's not going to bring this much profit, I can't pack it all. However, jewelry, a friend of mine just came to visit and was like, you really got rid of a lot of jewelry. I was like, you didn't look in that closet, did you? So I have the whole restroom closet is just like tubs and totes, and like I always describe myself as like a dragon. Like, this is my hoard. And I'll get to it. Just don't.
We don't know when.
But don't touch it.
It's fun to go through. Sometimes I'll just sit and.
I know. Sometimes it just makes you happy. I agree with you. Just love it.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of stuff. Before we go, anything else? Maybe something on UFOs or the proof is out there on History Channel, the Marfa lights, anything like that, maybe?
Sure. Yeah, I was sharing with y'all the story of Where to start though? Where to start? So I was asked it was actually a couple years ago that History Channel reached out to me to be on a segment of their show called The Proof. The show's called The Proof is Out There. And the segment is about the Marfa lights, which are out in West Texas. A number of years ago, I had gone out there on one of our homeschooling. We do road schooling sometimes, road schooling trips. We'd gone out there and I'd gotten a really awful footage of the Marfa lights, which I uploaded to the homeschool channel. Can I share the name of the homeschool channel?
Yeah.
It's called Homeschool Honey is my homeschool channel.
Okay.
So over on Homeschool Honey, we uploaded it. Didn't think much about it because I just am that kind that like I upload everything everywhere. And maybe a year or so after that, Dan Aykroyd and Joe Rogan, he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about, supernatural stuff. And he brought up the Marfa lights, and they looked it up on YouTube, and he tells people, oh yeah, go look on YouTube. And so the next morning, I'm getting all of these messages on my phone, like Dan Aykroyd sent me, and thank you so much, Joe Rogan. And
like, what is happening?
And I was like, I think I'm getting punked here. What's going on? Like, so I went and looked it up, and sure enough, they had talked about this. And so people came, and then a couple of years later, the History Channel reached out to do this segment. And basically what it is there are these lights out in Marfa, Texas, and they've been recorded. It's been well over 100 years that these lights have been recorded. So a lot of people are like, oh, it's people with drones out there, or go out there and look, or it's swamp gas, whatever. It's a desert out there. And so there are these lights that along these flats will like flicker and change colors, and like there'll be one ball of light and it shoots off into 3 balls of lights, and they're all different colors, and it's really cool to go experience. And so I won't tell because the proof is out there. The show is they go and they check out these supernatural things.
Oh, so they try to like come up with a reason why it's happening?
Yeah. Okay. And I was like, finally, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Is it real? Is it this? Is it that? I won't ruin it for you.
That's a fantastic commercial.
And we're going to have to go find it, Doug, so that we can talk about this.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It's super fun. Yeah, I'll just say I was very pleased with their findings.
Okay, good.
And then so you did add that helped you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Viral overnight, and that helped you monetize your homeschool channel.
Oh, yeah. When Dan Aykroyd brought it up on the Joe Rogan podcast a couple of years ago.
That's some good exposure, by the way.
That's why I'm like, upload everything. Elaine.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. Exactly.
Dan Aykroyd could talk about bees stinging people's fingers.
So tell us how our listeners can find you.
Well, I have a Facebook page also, Texas Gal Treasures. Instagram, I'm on YouTube, Texas Gal Treasures. I've started, I've got my my Homeschool Honey, and I have started another channel to talk more about kind of like metaphysical or like UFO stuff. I haven't shared that story though, actually. No, I should. How do I get ideas? This is how. Yeah, so those are some fun ways to find me.
Well, we are very happy that you were here. I'm sorry, I have the do not disturb on in it dung, so I do not know what happened.
I didn't hear it.
All right, good. But thank you so much for coming. It was great to meet you. I got to be honest, you were one of the first people I started watching when I started doing reselling. I bought a consignment store. I don't know, in the teens, 2016 or something, and it was miserable, and it was failure, and I needed to sell the stuff online, and I had a whole lot of jewelry, and I started watching you. So I thank you.
Oh, good.
Without you and a couple other people, I never would have done this. And now this is my whole life. So, there are a couple of you that really have inspired me, and you're always so sweet, and I've enjoyed you immensely. Thanks. So thank you very much. I appreciate what you do for the community.
Well, thank you for that. I'm glad, and I don't know what to say.
No,
this is why I'm in Toastmasters.
How do you end it? Thanks so much. And it was so cool to meet you and talk to you, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great to meet y'all too.
Please come back sometime. We'd love to see you.
Of course, of course.
let's get into seller shoutouts, Trish. Shouting out those who are doing cool things and helping out the seller community. And so, Trish, as you know, we've talked about content on the last, and chime in whenever you want. We've talked
Okay,
about
I will.
content on the last couple Snoop Dougie shows, only on listingparty.com, 12 Pacific every Wednesday, with Maggie Weber, Refashioned Hippie, and Star Bryson Flippin' Hippos. And I want to shout out our buddy Maggie Weber for, first of all, getting a mention in the New York Times in an article on AI as an influencer.
I know,
'Cause she
awesome.
actually,
Just
yeah, that
awesome.
is awesome. And she told me they talked for a bit, and she talked a lot of bit about List Perfectly, but they just focused on her content dev. And over the weekend, she just broke 100,000 followers on YouTube.
Again,
So
awesome, awesome
yeah,
feat by Maggie. We also want
amazing.
to thank Rachel Homburger and Dana. I'm not thank them. We want to shout out Rachel Homburger and Dana Crawford. They attended the Helpsy Seller event in New Jersey over this past weekend, where they had warehouse tours, panels, seller panels, and more. So really, we just want to thank Dana and Rachel for bringing awareness to this. And Doug, what do you know about Helpsy? Do you know much about them?
Well, we interviewed Rachel Humberger a couple of weeks ago, and I guess I was familiar with the name, but I didn't know a ton about them. So they're the largest textile collection company in the Northeast United States, and their environmental mission is to keep clothes out of the trash, which is good.
Yeah.
And in just the last year, Trish, they collected 25 million pounds of clothes. That's more than my daughter has all over her floor
It's
in her
amazing.
room.
That's amazing. But I would like to say, I don't think most people understand the impact of clothing that it has on the environment. Not
Oh,
only making it, making the raw materials, but then
oh yeah.
again making the clothes themselves. So the impact of clothes includes 320 million pounds of CO2 emissions saved because of Helpsy.
Hang on, Trish. Let me do some computing in my head.
Okay, go ahead.
That's probably about 20 billion gallons of water saved,
Which
Trish,
is
which
which is
amazing.
crazy.
I know. And my figures also tell me that that equals the electricity usage of 10,000 American homes.
It's crazy. Helpsy really wants to spread the word that clothes aren't trash. And where I live, I don't know about where you live, Doug, but where I live, we have places where you can, drop off clothes, those bins, which everybody is familiar with those. But we also have recycled textiles. Do you have any of those?
I have no idea.
So they're just like for what we would call rags. So you
Okay.
put them in and then they're shredded up to be reused. So they're clothes that are too stained or ripped or anything. So they put them in these, and then a lot of the schools around here have them.
Oh, that's nice.
So look
But
for
yeah,
those. Yeah,
I like that slogan, and that's also a hashtag they use. Clothes aren't trash. So that's cool.
it is cool. And Dana also has her first meetup this week in Punta Gorda, Florida. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. She has helped other sellers in Florida start up meetups, and now she's got her own in beautiful Punta Gorda.
Punta Gorda, Florida, which is where I wish I was right now.
Yeah, I know.
In our listing party co-host challenge, the winner this week was Chris Dunnard. Congratulations and thank you for stepping in. I've been sick, and she did a party for me during Mastermind. I really appreciate it. But if you would like to take part of the listing party challenge, you can pick a topic or just schedule a time to get everyone together and list, chat. Just you could list while you're doing it. You could talk about a topic. You could talk about something that's not reseller related. But you put into a drawing, and we have a drawing every week for a free free month of List Perfectly.
There you
And we
go.
spin for the winner on Sunday and sign up now. We've extended the challenge through January 26th, 2024.
And you're going to see. Obviously, we love Listing Party. You know about Listing Party. You're going to see a lot more over this year, and that's Teresa Cox's baby. And she's one of the things she's working on is for those that don't know of a topic, or they're like, "What am I going to talk about?" She's working on a list of suggested topics we'd like to see listing parties on, and we're going to put it out there, and you can sign up. And then again, if you want some help, if you want some LP people in there to help you out, Trish and I are happy to hop in, or other LP teammates will be happy to hop in. And then there's a lot of regulars in there that'll help you and support you. But it's a really cool community, and it's gonna keep growing, and we're gonna keep adding new stuff. There's some super cool stuff coming.
There is. It's turning out to be really great, even more than I had envisioned. It's really awesome. And just as a reminder, even though the Seller Community Podcast is your favorite podcast, as we all know, there are other podcasts out there, including eBay for Business, the Seller Club Podcast, Art Community Thrift, Get Thrifty Podcast, Consignment Chats, Let's Do Lunch, Cat the Nurse Flipper, Flippin' Hippos on YouTube, and much more. Stay tuned for more Seller Shoutouts next week. Listen for your name, because we'd love to shout you out.
Next, we have the very first Trish tip, seller trip.
Seller trip.
Trish tips. Got to be careful with that one. Trish tips with Trish, seller tips with Trish. Which is it? We need a theme song. What do you prefer? Seller tips, tips with Trish? I like Trish's tips.
Whatever you can say without making me or yourself laugh is good.
There you go. So welcome to Trish's very first tip.
That's right. Here's my first tip. You ready, Doug?
Yes.
Buy low, sell high.
That's it?
That's the whole tip. No, the tip is you make the money on your buy. You don't make the money when you sell.
There you go.
The most important thing, the only thing that you can control, is how much you buy something for. In reality, it's only worth what it's worth, right? People are only going to pay what they want to pay. So you make your money on the buy. So my tip of the week is to really make sure that you're doing your research. Make sure you're looking at your sell-through rates. Make sure you're looking at what this specific item has sold for in the past.
Yeah.
Make sure you're buying this at a price that you feel comfortable selling it at, if that makes sense. Okay. Because you make your money when you buy it. You don't make your money when you sell it. And I think when people first get into this business, if they think you can buy it low enough, it's worth it. But sometimes it's worth, if something has a really fast sell-through rate, maybe it's worth spending $100 to make 150 if it has a 2-day turnaround or something. So you just need to make sure, remember that you're making your money when you buy it, and make sure you're really deciding how much money is going into it, how long you think you're going to have to sit on it, and how much precaution and how much. Just make sure you do your due diligence, especially when you first start. So buy low, sell high, even though it's very elemental.
Yeah, but I mean, we made that joke, but I mean, that's what it is. Buy low, sell high.
Right.
Reminds me of the time I went to the dollar store with $20.
Yes.
I'm going to spend $20 and I'm going to buy, I guess 20 things. So I bought some little toys and things like that. And some of them I researched, but I just wanted to see, and I made some money on it, but I don't think it was enough to be like a lasting source of inventory for me.
Yep.
I'm lucky I didn't get caught by Vero, if they're listening, because I did list the dollar store blocks as compatible with Lego, which is a Vero violation. I'm very, very, very sorry.
Not put someone else's name in the title,
That's
Douglas.
right. I'm sorry, Lego, and I'm sorry, eBay, but they do work together. So, Trish.
No, I was going to say, so what did the dollar store teach you?
That their stuff's cheap and a knockoff.
Okay. That isn't what I expected, but good answer.
But it wasn't a great sell-through rate, likely.
Right. And I do think, there are people who sit on dollar store stuff. There are people who will buy, especially the things that come in that they don't have all the time, things that are like overstock or whatever. There are people who have a whole business model based just on the dollar store.
Meat, milk.
I'm sorry?
Meat, milk.
No, but things that maybe like, I can't think of any right now, but things that like a special toothpaste that didn't last or whatever, things like that, they'll sell off to the dollar store because they've decided they're not going to keep this product. And those type of things you can make some money on, but you just have to be so careful. It's a tricky thing.
Well, let me ask you like a couple more practical examples, Trish.
Okay.
What about like I'm at a garage sale and they've got a bunch of Black Diamond Disney VHS tapes, or maybe some Beanie Babies.
Okay, I'm gonna say both of those really depend on, on the specific one. Both of them I would probably pass on. But then I have friends, Diane Lasan being one of them, and Teresa T. Cox, T Money. She sells Beanie Babies. I don't think she buys them anymore, but she sells them, ones that she had.
Yeah.
And they do sell periodically. So again, if storage isn't an issue, if you have unlimited storage, if you don't mind sitting on something for a while, and when I say while, I mean a year or more. I don't mean months. And you can buy a Beanie Baby for 10 cents and sell it for 25, maybe it is worth it. But you just still have to look at the research. Make sure you're looking at your sell-through rates.
There you go. And for more information from Trish's fabulous wealth of selling experience, you can go back to our sell-through rate episode, and you will be seeing and hearing more of this content in Trish's tips.
That's right.
Each week. Well, thanks, Trish. No, that was good. That's good advice. Time for the seller news. Over to you, Trish.
So this week I was listening to, I didn't feel well, and I was on the couch for a week, and I was watching YouTube, and I couldn't watch any more reseller YouTube. I was just up to my eyeballs in resellers. And so I started watching this girl, her Hope Scope. She is a huge YouTuber. And I watched her because she was buying returns, overstock returns. And I was just watching her open them to see what she did. And so she bought a thing of evening gowns. And at the end, she haphazardly mentioned that she was going to put them on this site called Queenly.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, what? What is that?
Yeah.
So I watched the rest of it. I stop it. And then I spent like 3 hours looking at Queenly. So Queenly is a really interesting site. It's like a Poshmark or one of these app-based sites, but it is just for formal dresses. So they cater to proms, they cater to military balls, they cater to pageants, things like that. And these dresses are very difficult to sell. So anybody who's been in the clothing game for a while knows that these dresses are harder to sell than normal dresses for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
But this site is pretty interesting, and it has a pretty good rating. And I just think maybe we should keep it out. If you have these dresses, if you're somebody who gets these dresses on occasion, if you're somebody who can get your hands on these, it might be worth looking at this site. So it's queenly.com.
Yeah, that is interesting. I hadn't heard of it. Buy and sell formal dresses. And like you say, as we all know, Trish, once you use one of those dresses, you're likely done with it. But maybe somebody else has a need for that little black dress.
And it says have dresses sitting, sell them quickly, earn some cash, and then they have different ways that you can do. You can do new, used, but then they have like they do it up into different segments. Like a little black cocktail dress, pageants, plus sizes, bridal. So they also have a bridal section. Again, a thing that is very hard to sell in general.
Yeah.
And then they also do it sometimes by designer. So like Sherry Hill or Giovanni, these designers that maybe are like prom designers.
Okay.
And then it's like under 100, under 300, under 500. It was just an interesting, and it was a very easy app to maneuver. I found it very easy to look at dresses. I I went in and I went into the listing process. That seemed very easy. So if you're somebody who already uses Posh, you're going to find this simple as anything. So just an idea. I'm working on to see if they'll take a CSV upload. So I'm working on that right now. I'll let you know if I find that out.
Yeah, and I'm looking at them and they say the go-to marketplace for all formal dresses for your next prom, wedding, quinceañera, or other special occasion. Over 100,000 dresses available today. Turn your old dresses into cash. Trish.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that there's some niche products, prom dresses, wedding dresses being one of them, that are just harder to sell. And so I really do think a niche market like this might be great.
Yeah, no, that is cool. Do you have any
Yeah.
old prom dresses, cocktail dresses, quinceañera dresses you're looking to unload?
Personally,
Yeah.
not really.
All right then.
But I will say this, I do get the chance to buy them and I don't. And I don't buy them because they're difficult to sell.
I can imagine
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, so this may actually change my mind. This might be something that I will look into. So
Yeah.
what I'd like to do is, if anyone's ever used this service, I'd love to hear from you. Please drop us an email. And I'm gonna try to, maybe we'll have a little experiment and we'll try selling some stuff on there. We'll see
There
how
you
it
go.
goes.
There you go. And you can email us at podcast@listperfectly.com or go to the sellercommunitypodcast.com and click the contact form and you can contact us there. All
We
right.
would love to hear from you.
Love to hear from you about
Anything.
anything, but
Exactly.
queenly and your dresses.
Yeah.
Trish, did you hear that a bit back, the former Goodwill CEO was arrested for stealing over $1 million?
No, I
Yes.
didn't hear that.
Not many people know that he found it all in the pockets of donated clothes. Actually, it
How
is
long
serious.
have you been waiting for it to say this? It is
I-
not true.
No, that is true. Not that he found it all in donated clothes, but he was stealing money from the company.
Oh, I didn't know. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
It's not like he was sending like dead insects and things like that to people. But,
Behave, Doug, behave.
no. All right.
So on the eBay community at ebaycommunity.com, they have a monthly chat. This week's on Wednesdays, January 17th at 1 p.m. 4 EST. They will have an eBay growth advisor available to answer questions. We'll include a link to the show notes, but it's a community.ebay.com at the community info board. So we would love it. We just want to throw these things out there. When these things become available, we just want to make sure that you know so that you can go and you can participate.
Yeah, and this is your opportunity to find out about eBay growth advisors, how that works. They're available for you. So good chance just to get some more information too.
And I know I've mentioned her before, but Diane Lassonde, my friend who had kind of done nothing with her store for a year because she had gotten cancer, really started using a growth advisor about 4 or 5 months ago, and it has made an enormous difference in her business. And
Great.
she thinks the guy is wonderful. And she went from, selling very little to now having sales every day. So if you are around, absolutely attend one of these. I think you'll get a lot out of it.
And that's a good team. They can look you up in the system and then give you some advice and take a look at what you're doing and help you potentially improve.
So Doug, do you have any AI news? I know you know a lot more about this than I do. I'm wondering if you have anything new that's going on.
Well, Trish, I'm super excited. I've been into AI a bit.
I know. That's why I asked. Yeah.
So last week, and this was big. This was on the radar for a bit. OpenAI launched their ChatGPT store. So basically,
Okay.
what this does, it's kind of like ChatGPT is an interface, and this kind of it's almost like apps for ChatGPTs, but they're all called ChatGPTs. So
Okay.
and it gives access to custom apps and tools, all built on OpenAI's AI model. So
Okay.
and they say that the ChatGPT store They say that the ChatGPT store features a diverse range of GPTs developed by our partners and the community, where you can browse popular and trending GPTs on the community leaderboard with categories like DALI, which is images, image generation,
Okay.
writing, research, programming, education, and lifestyle. So I've messed around with some of the image generation stuff, and it's pretty cool. It's almost getting to the point where you look at an image and you're like, is that AI or is it real? Which, I don't want to get into the AI argument, good or bad. And then, logo generation, things like that. I was messing around with some video generation tools that were basically like, put a script in and we'll generate a video for you. And then they generate this video with stock images and you can go in and add your own images and edit it all.
Huh.
But there was one I was really messing with last week called Write For Me. And basically what happens, with Chat GPT, in the basic version, you've got this prompt and you ask a question or tell it what you want. And the more direction you give it, the better your results are going to be. And, I've messed around with it for a while. And, I test a lot of stuff with music stuff because I know it so well. But I was really impressed with this Write For Me because it helps you write stuff, but it also prompts you along the way with like what it needs. So it's like, write an autobiography of Trish Glenn, and it'll be like, all right, who's your audience? What's the tone? What do you
Oh,
want?
interesting.
Anything you want to add? And then it works it all in. And then again, I mean, I know that there's a lot of controversy around AI. I'm a fan. It's a tool, and a tool is something that, good or bad, it's based on the use of the person that uses it.
Right.
And I definitely would always recommend anything generated by AI or ChatGPT. You want to review, you want to check it, you want to reread it, go through and edit it. And I think it's a good tool if you want to have it help you write something, and then you go back through and edit it, make it in your own voice. Trish, back like when we were in high school and we would get the Cliff's
Cliff
Notes
notes.
to
Yep.
do our book reports.
Yep.
I think the theme of
Catcher in the Rye.
in the Rye is individualism.
No, it's true. We did. We used to go and get those little yellow and black books.
That's right.
And we would all read
That
those.
Sunday afternoon before the report was due on Monday, and you go down to the bookstore and you're like, where's the Cliff's Notes?
And I don't know about you, but here we had blue laws. Did you have those?
Yeah, but
We
and,
still kind of have them. So nothing's open really past 6 on Sundays. Everything closes at 6. So I can remember saying to my mother, "You're gonna take me to the mall." It's like 5 o'clock. Quick.
I would use Trish as a guide, like I would use
yeah.
ChatGPT.
But even if you read the book, man, sometimes you needed that. Like, how am I supposed to know what the inner struggle of Ernest Hemingway was at this point when he was doing Old Man in the Sea? But anyways,
Well,
yeah,
wait,
I mean,
I got in big trouble in high school once where it was like we were reading the opus that's Moby Dick.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh, everything represents something, blah, blah, blah. This is this is that. And I raised my hand and the teacher's like, yes. I go, what if it's just a book about a guy chasing a whale? And she goes, well, it's not. I guess
It's not. Out of my class.
I should have got my Cliff's Notes to help.
Well, and I mean, I just think it's interesting because it's a brand new tool. It is going to continually get better and it's going to continually invade our everyday lives. And so I think some of us would probably be better off getting used to it now than trying to catch up later.
Yeah, I think so. And it's going to get better and better. It's improving, and there's all kinds of stuff you can use. I mean, if you don't want it to write stuff for you, there's organization stuff, there's planning stuff, and more and more is coming at a rapid pace.
In further eBay news, I just wanted to say that eBay has some kind of deal with Tax Act. I don't know if you saw this. They did it last year too. So eBay partnered with Tax Act and they offer 25% off for sellers, which if you're going to be filing your taxes online anyways, look into it. Last year I used it. I saved the 25%. I was happy I did it. And it just helps you with your filing of the federal. I don't know about state. Yeah. States are all different. Yeah.
Well, and they've also got a tax information center just for eBay sellers. And so, you can get articles, tips, and, different eBay sellers have different situations. Like, obviously,
Absolutely.
my eBay tax situation is much different than Trish's. But, because
Yes.
again, Trish, you're a six-figure seller and I'm a 2 to 3-figure seller.
You're a
There you go.
two-figure seller is the best.
And then, they also, Trish, apparently have a handy dandy 5-point tax preparation checklist that will help ensure you're compliant. Because I can tell you, you don't want to mess with the SRS.
You don't wanna mess with the SRS?
All right, laugh it up.
I'm
I
sorry, I
can,
was more laughing at my laugh than what you said. I sound like that dog from the cartoon.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What's his name?
But I know who I mean. Man, I'm making myself hot.
Yeah, I know. And I
Um,
can tell you, Trish, you do not want to mess with the IRS.
that's very true. And as sellers, we are very in the community, we don't talk about taxes a lot. It's kind of a taboo subject. We don't want to give people the wrong information. So here, at least, you're getting information directly from eBay and from Tax Act. This is a good place to look, but it's just a good place to know that where you're going and you're getting good information.
Exactly.
So that's about all the reseller news that fits this week, Doug. Tune in for more reseller news next week. And if you've got something you want us to drop in, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up. Let us know what your news is. We want to give everybody either a shout out, talk about your news, see what you got to say. We want to know all the things.
There you go. And again, you can always email us at podcast@listperfectly.com or go to thesellercommunitypodcast.com, hit that contact link, or you can go to the group, the List Perfectly Facebook group, and you can tag Trish, you can tag me, and we will maybe add you into the show.
Yeah, we'd love that.
All right. Well, thank you, Trish.
Doug, a pleasure as always.